on. Hips, very important part of the body, something we need to take care of. Sedentary lifestyle and too much sitting down, especially for office workers, will weaken and shorten these muscles. And you need these muscles to move for every part of your daily life. You need to walk, to sit, to hold your body upright. They're the joint between your upper and lower bodies. So the two movements that we're talking about in our hips today in particular are adduction and abduction. The easy way to remember these is adduction is adding, and when you add you bring two numbers together, so your adding is bringing together. So this is the action of bringing your legs together or your arms closer to your body, that's adduction. And abduction, I like to remember it as alien abduction. Your aliens come and they abduct you, they take you away to another planet, potentially for some deep hip probing or something. They helped me get through my exam in anatomy, so I'm happy with that. Okay, the muscles that cause or produce adduction are quite helpfully called the adductors, and the muscles that allow you to abduct your leg are called adductors. So that's great, that's nice and easy. If we go round the leg, just to remember the adductors, the ones that cause the adduction, and it makes sense, if your leg is out there, you need to pull it in, it's the muscles on the inside. So this is your adductors, and you've got your quadriceps, and you've got your abductors. This will take your leg away from your body or away from the other leg, and then you've got your hamstring. So it's a nice easy way. We're going to do that in a minute in a bit more detail. To strengthen and lengthen these muscles, helping to strengthen the muscle itself, it lengthens and strengthens the connective tissue, it increases blood flow, it increases the range of movement, and it can help with your joint alignment. So it's all good things. Today, we're just going to open and stretch our adductors, and we're going to use our abductor muscles to achieve it. First, a little bit of anatomy. The hip adductors are a group of 5 muscles in your inner thigh between the quadriceps on the front of the leg and the hamstrings on the back. When your adductors contract, they squeeze your thighs together, an action that's known as hip adduction. This action is performed in Tadasana. All 5 originate on your ischial tuberosity or sitting bone. The 2 shorter adductors, which are the pectineus and the adductor brevis, insert on the upper posterior femur or thigh bone. The 2 longer ones, the adductor longus and the adductor magnus, insert on the middle and lower posterior femur. The 5th member of the group is the gracilis. This is a long strap-like muscle that extends from the pubic bone to the tibia just below the knee, and it assists the hamstring in knee flexion. This is the one that you're going to feel when we do the Upavishta tomorrow. Depending on the leg position, any one of these muscles or combination will help to flex, extend or rotate your hip. These muscles also help to stabilize in our balancing poses. The easiest way to strengthen these muscles is to hold a yoga block or a cushion between your knees when sitting at your desk and hold for a minute. Also, when you do Ardha Setu Bandhasana, which is half bridge, you can hold a block between your thighs. Strengthening and lengthening the inner leg muscles will improve various poses and your overall posture and comfort. The muscles on the outside of the hips are the hip abductors. These are mainly the gluteus medius, gluteus minimus and the tensor fasciae latae. Sometimes in certain movements, abduction is assisted by parts of the gluteus maximus, your butt. These muscles move the leg away from the body, but as with the adductors, they also help rotate the leg at the hip joint. The hip abductors are also for stability when walking or standing on one leg, so again for our balancing poses. Severe weakness in these muscles can cause pain, it can reduce the range of movement, and it can cause incorrect alignment. So these muscles tend to be underused and a bit weak, so we do need to work them. The easiest way is to bind with a strap and activate our abductors. Basically just push out against the strap. These are the muscles we're going to use to stretch our adductors, not our arm muscles. We'll explain. For this series of stretches, our main prop is going to be the wall. So you need to move any stray goddesses you have laying around, create yourself a little bit of space, keep the blanket and the block, we're going to use them, but the cushion and the beads no. We put the mat up against the wall, slightly overlapping so it goes up the wall a little way. Then we're going to put a blanket just for a little bit of support, a little bit of comfort, because we're going to lean against this. Our back is going to be against the wall. So our stretch today is Baddha Konasana. And as I promised, I'll give you the Sanskrit. Baddha just means bound or closed, and Kona is angle. So we're going to create a bound or closed angle with our legs, like this. It's known colloquially or in the West as butterfly. Sorry, just adjust myself. As butterfly, because there's this flapping motion that looks like the wings of a butterfly. We are absolutely not going to do that. We're going to do an active stretch and a passive stretch of our adductor muscles using our abductor muscles. The other thing we're not going to do is push down. Your abductor muscles, we've just explained them in the anatomy section there, and I don't think we mentioned our triceps or our biceps. This can cause damage. You don't want to overstretch these. As we have this sedentary lifestyle, it can be very difficult. These can be very short and they can be prone to injury. You do not want to cause a tear in any of these ligaments or muscles. Extremely painful. So we're going to do this passively and actively with the correct muscles. So the very first one that we're going to do is going to push ourselves right back against the wall so that we're firm, and we're going to stay upright. Then we bring our heels in to whatever position we can and we're comfortable. Now at this stage, I want you to make a mental note of the distance that you've got between your knees and the floor. Eventually, we're going to get our knees on the floor. This is the meditation pose. This is towards Padmasana, which is lotus. Okay, it's far away from me, maybe one day. Make a mental note of the gap that you've got there, because we're going to see an improvement in this video. The first stretch is we're going to bring our hands behind us against the wall and we're going to push up and forward. Our sternum is going to rise up and forward, and immediately you're going to feel that stretch in these adductors here. So wherever you're comfortable on the wall to push, you can keep straight arms or you can have bent arms, but the action you're going to do is just to push yourself away from the wall, forwards and upwards. Now if you're like me, you've got a lot of upper body strength and quite stiff here, you're going to start to lift your butt off the floor. And that's where we want to stop shy. We do not want to lift our butt off the floor. We want to lean forward and up. And as before, we spend a bit of time on the edge of discomfort, and we hold and we feel the stretch. We move ourselves in, keeping our chest up and forward, and just relax into the stretch. And over a period of time, you can move your arms up the wall, or you can straighten your arms out, whichever is more comfortable, but you're going to feel that stretch quite strongly in the adductor muscles. Now the idea is that we hold this for however long we're comfortable. This is quite an awkward pose because you're using the strength of your arms. So we don't want to do this one for too long. Let's go on to the next. For this stretch, we're going to use the block. Now, very simply, there's three heights to each block, okay? There's this side, and there's this side. We're probably going to just use this height to start with because this is quite an awkward stretch. But basically, we're going to note where our feet come, and it's particularly our ankles, and we're going to put the block where that is. We're going to bring it in where we are, where our heels naturally come. And we're just going to lift them up, okay? And we're going to adopt the position again. Readjust yourself so you're nice and tight against the wall. Back up nice and straight. Holding, you've heard this expression, opening your feet like a book. You know, imagine a book open like this. This is your feet. And this is where we've got two options, and we can play with both. We've got the active stretch where we're using our abductor muscles to pull the knees down towards the floor, and you can already feel it opening up. It's quite a good stretch. So you've got that, the active stretch, and you can hold that for a number of seconds as long as you can stomach it. This is strengthening our abductor muscles and lengthening our adductors. It's a great, great, great stretch. Keeping our chest up, keeping our back straight, and we move into this pose. And again, hold it as long as you like. The other option is to passively stretch, and you sit here for whatever time and you just let gravity take over. The more you relax into the pose, the more your muscles will naturally lengthen. Just gravity will sit there because part of the resistance to this stretch is you actively holding your legs up, because your proprioception muscles are sending messages to your brain saying that there's a bit of pain, and it doesn't want you to overextend or to stretch or to cause any tears. So it sends this message. Over a period of time, and this is true of any stretch, once you relax into it, you can read a book or whatever you like. Once you relax into it, that pain gently ebbs. And from that, you can just relax and let gravity take its course. You won't notice it, but you could sit here honestly for 20 minutes and read your book, meditate, just relax into it, and naturally gravity will pull your knees down towards the floor. The next step of this one is, as you can guess, is just to move the block up to the second position, okay? So it's a little bit more of a challenge, and there will be a little bit of balance, so take a bit of time to get yourself organised, obviously. Once you've got yourself in the position where it's more or less balanced and you can feel the stretch straight away, is again straighten your back, hold on to your toes, and again same thing, you've got the active stretch which you're pushing down with your abductor muscles, and you can really feel it now, it's really kicking in now, and you hold that for as long as you can bear, and you will feel an instant stretch, but it does become easier very, very quickly. This is the beauty of this stretch. The longer you're in it, the easier it gets. And again, this is a bit more difficult because of the balance issue, but again, you can read a book, you can just let gravity take over, let the sensation of stretch ebb, and it will naturally fold down towards the floor. If you're more flexible than me, feel very welcome to put it up to the third height and reach your leg up. I don't really want to because I'm not quite there yet. I can do it, but it's a bit of a stretch and the balance is just horrible. I'll show you. It's really not beautiful, and I'm not quite there yet. It is a very good stretch, and if you feel like doing it, feel free. It's not beautiful and you're not going to hold it for very long unless you're more flexible. But it is a good way to get these heels up. Eventually, exactly that. With the lotus, your knee will be on the floor and your heel will be higher than your knee, which is great on one side, but doing it both legs is extremely difficult. So that's that. The next stretch is very interesting, and you'll be surprised. Finish stage first, and the same thing. This was the first position. We'll rotate it because it's this thickness that we're interested in today. And we're going to place our feet against the block, and that extra little bit of space really does open up these adductors. So basically exactly the same position, back nice and straight, but this time you've got this little bit of space, and it makes a big difference as soon as you get here. Take it easy. Be very gentle with yourself, and again, same thing, start off with an active stretch and actively use your adductors to bring your knees closer to the ground, and you really will feel this one, and it's a slightly different, this is a bit more the gracilis, but bring this down, and again, if you choose to, you can, in fact it makes a lovely perch just here for the book, you can sit and read. And again, like I said, never ever push these down, and don't do this wobbly butterfly thing. It's prone to tearing, prone to causing damage to the tendons. Just relax into the pose, take your time, and stretch. Now, the next position is to extend that again. So you're just going to drop it down. So the block is still a long ways, but you're at the second dimension. You're at the second thickest part of the block. And you can really feel that straight away. That's a huge difference. Again, bring the heels in as much as you can. Back up nice and straight. And just, for me, this pose, you start with just a little push, 10-20 seconds, push down. Then it will naturally regress. Then this is absolutely perfect for reading. So I'm going to read a little bit of my book that my beautiful friend Gaia gave me in India. And I'm just going to sit here and the third of this, again, I would be very careful. If you can do it, by all means, but it is very wide, it is very demanding. So if you feel like trying it, try it, but just be really careful. It's quite wide. I need to adjust my position. And same thing, exactly the same procedure, just you're very much wide and you really will feel this stretch now. So take it easy, don't push too far, don't cause any injuries. Listen to your body and give yourself a chance to relax into the pose. And that's it, those simple poses. What you want to do is just do a counter action, just to open that up very slowly, nice and easy. I didn't do them, I just demonstrated for you, so I haven't done them as long as I would do normally. You can spend as long as you like in each pose. But the little test at the end is to give yourself a little pat on the back. It's just to do the same movement as you did at the start and see the difference in the gap. Just from me demonstrating, I haven't actually done the position, you can see there's a considerable, about halfway closer to the floor than I did when I started out. This really does open it up, and if you're doing the active stretch, it's strengthening your abductor muscles. That's it. So there it is, Baddha Konasana, with a little bit of variation from me. So these, all of these stretches that we've been doing, we should be doing them every day. We want to get some mobility and some strength and some suppleness into our lower body and our back, because eventually we want to do what's called a sun salutation, and we're going to do that in a couple of videos time. We're going to do a Hari sun salutation. Your sun salutation for most people will take a minute and a half, 2 minutes. This is 15 to 20 minutes because we explore every single pose properly. But in order to do that, we do have to have some level of mobility, especially in our calves. So if you're doing these videos, do them faithfully, do play with the positions as I've said, stretch that gastrocnemius, that double-headed muscle, and the deeper muscle, the soleus, your hamstrings, and as we've done today, these adductor and abductor muscles are really important for the sun salutation that we're going to do. Before we get there, we have one more stretch to do, which we're going to do tomorrow, which I'm not looking forward to. It's my least favourite stretch ever. It's Baddha Konasana. I can't stand it. It's miserable, but we have to do it. Again, it's going to open up these adductor muscles. It's lengthening, in particular, the gracilis, and it's uncomfortable. That's me, that's my body, that's how I react to it. You may sit there and you may sail through it. But these are all necessary. These are all things that we need to do to increase the mobility of our body, the strength, the suppleness, as I said, which is going to make our lives a little bit easier. And it's certainly going to make a sun salutation easier. So, until then, carry on.